All right, this is a detailed treatment, an expose, a refutation, and an analysis of Republic Broadcasting show host and alternative media figure in the 9/11 Truth Movement, Alan Watt. His website is cuttingthroughthematrix.com. He has written books, has produced CDs and DVDs, and granted numerous interviews to alternative media talk show hosts in an effort to, in his mind, expose the New World Order and basically get inside the minds of the secret society members and expose how they deceive people and control the masses, if you will. He has appeared on the Alex Jones Show, the Jeff Rench Show, various Republic shows or Patriot shows such as Republic Broadcasting, the Genesis Communications Network. He's even appeared on Professing Christian Bill Beagle's show. That's a bit of a joke there. But also Dr. Stan Monteith's Radio Liberty show, and I'd really like to get a hold of that one. Of course, I would have little faith that Stan Monteith would grill him on the faith based on his past shows. But to keep this succinct, I'm basically here to expose this guy as not just a heretic, but potentially as a New World Order infiltrator into the Patriot movement, to expose the ridiculous lies that he's made about my faith as a Christian, but also to show to non-Christians, people who do not believe in Jesus Christ, people who are atheists, agnostics, Islamic, Jewish, what have you, that he is intellectually dishonest and frequently acts to suppress any debate or requests for evidence of his claims concerning religions. Now, to me, he's pretty much new on the horizon. I've only heard him for the past year or so, and I started to hear his show on low power FMs here in Austin. And by the way, if anybody wants to email me with questions or comments, my email address is jeff@shortwavewars.com. That's jeff@shortwavewars.com, and let me know what you think. But I had listened to him for a while and was finding truth and a lot of interest in his efforts to expose the secret societies, especially in Britain, of the last several hundred years. But when it got into anything to do with the history of religion, his claims started to go to the outrageous, and he would make blanket claims to the tune of all religions are invented by the elite. All of them, not just the ones that aren't Abrahamic religions, or not the ones that aren't Christian. No, all the religions were invented by the elite with the purposes of controlling the minds and the wills of the masses. And so I tried to be objective in my analysis of his work, but found his claims, especially the ones he made a while back on the George Norrie Show on Coast to Coast, to be absolutely ridiculous. And so that's what we're going to deal with here. I want to show that he is un-American and unpatriotic. Now, he lives in Canada, but I'm just talking about the spirit with which he puts his information out and the way he reacts to anybody that disagrees with him. He browbeats people and he censors his callers. Number two, I want to show how he fits the profile of a secret society infiltrator. I want to show the uncontested evidence against his slanderous and libelous claims about the history of Christianity and of the Israelites. Number four, I want to basically show that I've sent emails to this guy ahead of time to give him a chance to clarify his statements before I finally confronted him on the air. And finally, just a formal request to everybody out there, Christian or not, who cares about the issue of truth and who wants to objectively review the evidence of our past to find evidence of infiltration and control by the New World Order. I am here to basically say this guy is not doing the job. And he's not only not doing the job, he's trying to suppress people that are going to search out the truth and try and make up their own minds for themselves what the truth is. This guy is an enemy of the truth, and I think the evidence will show it. The first thing I want to do is play a brief audio clip of Alan's past statements, just so that we get a perspective here, or a starting point. Let me just add here a little bit of perspective and justification for what I'm doing here. As we in the whole truth movement put forth the energy every week to fight and expose the New World Order, the fruits of our labors are being undone by people like Alan Watt and Michael Tsarion. And so I'm hereby exposing this call-censoring, browbeating, bullying, truth-suppressing, and free speech-killing individual who is acting like a child. Really, in effect, he's acting like a secret society member in the final analysis, but who is obviously no friend to the spirit of the American Constitution or the 9/11 truth movement. So, for me, for one who has tried to put his neck on the line all these years for all of our freedoms, at least conscientiously, serving my country overseas as a former Marine officer, and one who personally witnessed the devastation and the destruction of the Twin Towers on 9/11. I was only 5.5 blocks away, folks. I was in the Cosmopolitan Hotel on 95 West Broadway, and Flight 11 flew right over my head while I was shaving. So ever since that day, I've promised myself to seek out the truth and get to the source of the evil that changed my life that day. And that was before I was saved as a born-again Christian. We can talk about that some other time. But that search led me to Patriot programs here in Austin, especially the Republic Broadcasting Network and the Genesis Communications Network, where I learned the truth about the New World Order. And it was Alex Jones with his Larry Silverstein piece that finally woke me up to what was going on, because I was in the right-wing paradigm prison for my mind. I was in that paradigm and trapped in it. And so I finally woke up. Alan Watt comes along years later, repeatedly censoring callers and suppressing evidence refuting his wild claims, and fulfilling the very words of Albert Pike, the master mason and architect of the New World Order, by convincing uneducated, dumbed-down Americans that Jesus and the Israelites never even existed. Not that he wasn't a Messiah. No, it's that he never existed at all. We live in a twilight zone age here, folks. We've got stuff coming over from the British Isles, movements called the Great Rethinking. We've got a conference coming up here this very month in Southern California at the Crystal Cathedral, where George Bush and Rupert Murdoch are going to sit down with Katempo Christian leaders and tell us how to rethink our faith. I am not kidding. Go to rethinkconference.com if you don't believe me. But we have a world that is increasingly, or a country that's increasingly ruled by the British elite. And whether it's the secret societies or the British wealthy elite, or whether you want to look at the fact that people like Queen Elizabeth probably own more land in this country than anybody else, or if you want to look at some of the major media publications in this country, like The Economist magazine owned by the British elite, promoted widely here in the U.S., even though it's a global magazine, or if you want to look at a magazine owned by the same holding company that is supposedly an American magazine, and that is Roll Call. That is the big Inside the Beltway magazine. Roll Call is owned by Pearson LLC, which is owned by this obscure British lord, believe it or not. So our minds are being flooded with information framed and controlled and corralled by the British elite and the secret societies, the very people we fought a war over to get them the heck out of our country. And now they're coming back. And you got these arrogant scumbags like Alan Watt coming to tell us that our faith doesn't exist. So I'm sick of it. So anyways, I'm going to do this and do this brief treatment on Alan Watt and move on in my life, but I want to make sure that all the cards get laid on the table and that all of you can think for yourselves and make up your own minds about this guy and take action if you feel called to do so. So here is the audio recording of Alan Watt being questioned by George Noory on Coast to Coast AM about the Knights Templar, and Alan Watt begins to basically go into his unbelievable lie about what he maintains is the source of Christianity and Judaism as a religion.
Do you think the Knights Templar ever found or hid the Ark of the Covenant?
I don't think so in that respect. The Ark itself is nothing to do with what people think it is. It's the arc that the sun makes across the sky. That's what it was. That's what it really was. The people in the Bible are all allegories for different things that happen within nature, including the movements of the zodiac. The 12 tribes are simply the 12 constellations. Moses was the sun going through them. Same with Jacob. The same thing with Jesus, in fact. It's the same story given out for the exoteric rendition for the people and the esoteric for the higher priesthoods.
Now, you don't think that those individuals existed? They were all celestial?
They were all celestial. It's always the eternal heavenly story. It pre-existed traditional Judaism by millennia.
He goes on to say that Judaism was invented by, was basically borrowed by the Hindus. Offers no evidence for any of this garbage, but we're actually just supposed to believe it. So let's talk about his actual censorship of callers here. Alan Watt, RBN host of Cutting Through the Matrix, the secret society expert, was confronted by me on air twice last week, 9 and 11 January 2008, concerning his claims that Jesus, Israel, and Moses were all somehow celestial allegories and didn't really exist. So I confronted Alan Watt on the air on his 7 p.m. show, and you can listen for yourself in the upcoming clip how fair you think he was.